Hello again, folks. Let's try this again. I have tried to record this video since last night, as a matter of fact, and for whatever fucking reason, everything just explodes when I start recording, and just trying to get it done. Anyways, so I've been going through the case file, some of the case file for the West Memphis 3, and I've been sort of putting a few things together, but something is severely sticking in my fucking craw right now, and that is the testimony of Dale Griffis. Now, Dale Griffis, they call him Doctor in the original Paradise Lost documentary, and the prosecution refers to him as Doctor. He's not a fucking doctor, and I refuse to call him that. Griffis was qualified by the state of Arkansas to testify as an expert in this trial, the trial against Damien Echols and Jason Baldwin, and he was qualified as an expert in the occult, which I find fucking hilarious. Now, kids, for all of you that don't remember a time before the internet and Google and Wikipedia and all that other shit, in the early 90s, before there were online schools and before there were smartphones and before there were all this other fucking convenient shit, there were by-mail schools. And these were schools that would send you your materials and you would do your assignments and then you'd send them back by snail mail. And you could actually earn your high school diploma this way. You could earn a degree this way, yada, yada, yada. But the thing is that the specific school that Griffis claims he got his master's and his doctorate through, he didn't do class 1. He didn't do assignment 1. For his master's degree, he turned in his dissertation, and that was about the extent of it. And the thing about Columbia Pacific University is that it has since been shut down, and it was shut down by the state of California because it didn't meet its accreditation requirements. And yet, it was allowed for Griffis to testify as an expert in the, in occultism. And I'm going, huh? Are you fucking serious? Okay, so Griffis, during the course of his trial, he had his credentials severely challenged by the defense, which is only fair. His resume stated that he had been a police officer for about 28 years, but it was midway through his career as a police officer when he was 37 that he earned a 2-year college degree. For those of you that have not been to college, for those of you that have not gone to college yet, a 2-year degree is roughly an associate's degree. Yeah, I know. So then he proceeded to apply to the Columbia Pacific University, and he explained other schools such as Harvard or Stanford didn't offer the training he desired in the study of the psychology of cults. Probably because it's bunk, asshole. Not to mention, I doubt that Harvard or Stanford would have had your dumb ass. He then claims that he has read well over 4,800 books on the occult. That's like a minimum of a book a day. Yeah, I devour books. I polish off books with a quickness. There is no way I have read 4,800 books in the course of my life, let alone my adulthood. What the fuck? Okay, so he claims to have written 4 books, and he cites them: The 4 Faces of Satan, Runes, Glyphs, and Alphabets, The Investigation Manual for Non-Traditional Groups, and a primer for law enforcement on non-traditional groups, all of which are self-published. Now, folks, again, you have to remember this is back in the early 90s, and, these books were probably published in the 80s and 70s. So you have to understand something. Back in those days, if you self-published a book, it's because your books were full of shit. They were crap. Nowadays, everybody's self-publishing. Fuck, John Grisham himself is starting to self-publish some of his stuff because it makes more financial sense for authors. But in those days, back in the 70s and 80s, If you self-published a book, it's because your work was shit and nobody else would publish you. So, yeah, sorry, Griffis, but that doesn't exactly bolster your credibility. Now, Griffis, he had this to say. He did an interview, and he says during the trial, Griffis says he was on the stand for 6 hours, 5.5 of which were spent having his credentials challenged. He adds his dissertation at Columbia Pacific was a 230-page work on mind control cults and their effects on law enforcement. And it took you 230 pages to fucking say that? Your ass hurts. Noting he chose the school because it was the only one that offered the program he wanted. Yeah, because it's bullshit. His time qualifying as a witness, which was recorded, was actually closer to 2.5 hours. Griffis went on in the Tribune interview to make the remarkable claim that Damien Echols confessed after his testimony. Yeah, get this shit, guys. You're going to love this. When he got done testifying, what you didn't see on television, what you didn't see in the movie Paradise Lost, was the fact that Damien Echols said, "I got 3, I had 10 more to go for my coven, but that damn cop from Ohio stopped me." You fucking self-serving prick! Griffis goes on to say, what bothers me is people aren't told the truth of what happened. Does that sound like anybody else to you guys? You know, like Kratz? Yeah. It's funny how they always say, well, they didn't show the whole story in the documentary or in the film. Yeah, whatever. The Supreme Court of Arkansas affirmed Burnett's decision to qualify Griffis as an expert, noting his having been qualified as an expert witness in Georgia, Ohio, and Michigan. Presented below is the full list of factors cited by the Supreme Court of Arkansas in support of Griffis' findings. Get this shit. These are the factors. I'm reading them off just as the Supreme Court notated them, okay? Get this shit. Griffis testified that the date of the killings near a pagan holiday was significant, as well as the fact that there was a full moon. Yeah, that's one of the factors for them to qualify him as an expert witness. He stated that young children are often sought for sacrifice because the younger, the more innocent, the better the life force. Again, a factor in qualifying him as an expert. He testified that there were 3 victims and the number 3 had significance in occultism. Again, cited by the Supreme Court. Also, the victims were all 8 years old, and 8 is a witch's number. I shit you not, guys. The fact that the victims were tied ankle to wrist was significant because this was done to display the genitals, and the removal of buyer's testicles was significant because testicles are removed for the semen. Or it could just be that they were tied up by people who hunt, you jackass. This was all cited by the Supreme Court. He stated that the absence of blood at the scene could be significant because cult members store blood for future services in which they would drink the blood or bathe in it. He testified that the overkill or multiple cuts could reflect occult overtones. Dr. Griffis testified that there was a significance in injuries to the left side of the victims as distinguished from the right side. It gets better. People who practice occultism will use the midline theory, drawing straight down through the body. The right side is related to those things synonymous with Christianity, while the left side is that of the practitioners of the satanic cult. He testifies that the clear place on the bank could be consistent with a ceremony. What? In sum, Dr. Griffis testified there were significant evidence of satanic ritual killings. This was all shit cited by the Supreme Court, folks. What the fuck did I just read? These are people that went to college, that have worked for years in the legal community. These are judges that have spent hours upon hours in a classroom and in a courtroom and picking apart shit for the truth. And that was the shit they cited to qualify Griffis as an expert witness. What the fuck? Okay, now folks, I want to get one thing straight with you all. If you look back between the 70s and the mid to late 90s, okay, now it was mainly in the 70s, but it trickled on into the 90s. There was something going on in this country called the Satanic Panic, and every particularly brutal or gruesome crime, mainly killings, was subscribed to a satanic cult. The shit in Waco, the shit out in those fucking islands, all those like actual cults, you know, the ones that drank the Kool-Aid in LA, all that shit did not fucking help matters with the Satanic Panic. Just to let y'all know. But everything that was particularly gruesome or that the cops could not fucking understand was subscribed to Satanism. Let's get one thing straight before we go any further. Take the Satanism out of every fucking crime that you see me or John or any member of Clue TV present, because there is no way that a satanic cult did anything like this. Now, in Catholicism and Christianity, they have the 10 Commandments. The satanic community has the 9 statements. They also have the 11 rules of earth. And one of the 11 rules of earth is do not harm little children. I will actually include a link to the Church of Satan website down below. You can actually read this. Go to the theories tab and, you know, fuck it. I'll just put the link to the actual fucking 11 rules of earth and you'll see it. They don't harm children. They don't harm animals. They protect the elderly. They believe in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. And for these assholes to claim Satanism, that's the lazy man's way of explaining away something that they don't understand or that they can't figure out. That's pretty much it there, folks. And this shit was actually used in courtrooms, very famously in the West Memphis 3 case. And let's get one thing straight. I had somebody, you know, I had one of my hatchlings tell me that she had been told by somebody else, you know, that I shouldn't be dealing with the West Memphis 3 murderers. They were exonerated years ago. They actually weren't exonerated. They took an Alford plea. There's a big difference. The Alford plea is basically they are allowed to maintain their innocence while acknowledging that the state had enough evidence to convict them, and they were sentenced to time served and released. So they were not exonerated. This presents several problems. While they are free, they are not exonerated, and as long as they are not exonerated, the state of Arkansas does not feel the need to try and actually locate the actual fucking killer of 3 8-year-old boys. The killer is still out there. And even if he's dead, it doesn't really fucking matter because the fact remains that he did this and it needs to be known. Those children deserve proper justice. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, the fact remains, folks, is that this shit was subscribed to Satanism, to satanic cults, and that's not anywhere close to what actually fucking happened. The reason why it was subscribed to satanic cults is because, God forbid, the cops actually do their fucking job. Now, as we go through the case evidence, you're going to see how bad things really got in West Memphis before Damien Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jason Miss Kelly Jr. were actually arrested. It was fucking stupid. It was so stupid, I don't have a word for it. Okay? So, I will leave the link to the actual Church of Satan website that shows you the 11 rules of earth just so you can see it for yourself. Let's take Satanism out of the fucking equation. It's gone. Gone, okay? Let's deal with the fucking evidence. And let's all remember that the West Memphis 3 were not exonerated. They took an Alford plea. Big fucking difference. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.